Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Before I proceed, I'd like to recognize Mayor Dada Hataman. I made this special mention. And of course, her better half, the Deputy Speaker, Mujib Hataman, I made a special mention because Mayor Dada was the one who authored the Islamic banking bill. She was the one who filed the bill at the House of Representatives, and the rest is history. Now, let me present to you the initiatives of the Philippine government, led by the Bangko Sentral in promoting Islamic banking and finance. We understand that Islamic banking and finance is not just about banking. It's also about development of the capital market, development of insurance or takaful. And so what we did is to use a whole of government approach. We have formed a group at the interagency working group, which we call the Islamic Finance Coordination Forum, which is chaired by the Bangko Sentral, and the vice chairperson is the representative from the Securities and Exchange Commission. And among these different institutions, we have actually divided the task. The Bangko Sentral is taking charge of the implementing regulations for Islamic banking. SEC is taking charge for the capital market. And Insurance Commission is taking charge for the takaful or the Sharia compliant insurance products. PDIC is taking charge for the Sharia compliant deposit insurance system. Department of Finance and the Bureau of Internal Revenue are taking charge of the tax neutrality provisions. Now, on the part of, and of course, we have also members coming from the private sector, like the Accounting Standards Council and the Auditing Standards Council, because it's also important to keep them in the loop in case there is a need to revise some of the accounting and auditing standards to better accommodate Islamic banking and finance in our jurisdiction. Now, in terms of Islamic banking, we have adopted a single regulatory approach wherein both Islamic and conventional banks are actually covered by the same set of regulations. But of course, the BSP has flexibility to adjust some of the regulations to better accommodate the unique characteristics of Islamic banking. And we are clear, this group is clear about the objective, which is to establish an Islamic banking and finance ecosystem that can viably operate alongside the conventional banking system. We would, as you can see in the slide, the different mandates of these agencies are also hard-coded in the law. So, for example, in the case of the organic law for the Bangsamoro, it contains provisions that mandated the Bangsamoro government, the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, the Bangko Sentral, and the Department of Finance to promote Islamic finance. There's also a provision regarding the setup or the establishment of the Sharia Supervisory Board, and it also authorized the Bangsamoro government to provide tax incentives for Islamic banking and finance players that will operate in the Bangsamoro region. Even in the charter of the Bangko Sentral, during the recent amendment, it contains also a provision that provides the BSP with authority to establish Sharia-compliant facilities. Because right now, all of the facilities in the BSP are interest-based, and so the BSP needs to craft facilities that are not interest-based and can cater to the requirements of Islamic banking institutions operating in the Philippines. And then in 2019, we had the Islamic banking law. This is one of the great milestones in the history of Islamic banking and finance in the Philippines. Before the enactment of this law, we cannot allow other Islamic banks to operate in the Philippines. It was only Al-Amana Bank, and that's the reason why even starting way back 1973, we have only one Islamic bank in the Philippines. And this Islamic banking law, which was enacted in 2019, has practically opened the Philippine financial system to other players. It can be a full-fledged Islamic bank or Islamic banking windows. It can also be a domestic or a foreign bank. So it's a very flexible approach. We have also, in the amendment of the PDIC charter, there was also a provision that provided the PDIC with authority to establish a Sharia-compliant deposit insurance system. So right now, the PDIC is working. In fact, there is already a an insurance system that covers the Islamic deposits being received by the Islamic banking windows like Maybank and Cardbank. And then, in the case of the BARM, aside from providing tax neutrality, because the Philippine government has actually provided tax neutrality for all Islamic banking players operating in the Philippines. But in the case of the Bangsamoro government, they are also authorized in the law, in the organic law, to provide additional tax incentives. So just to illustrate, when Cardbank established its Islamic banking branch in Cotabato, one of the incentive provided by the Bangsamoro government is a tax holiday for 5 years for the Islamic banking windows operating in Cotabato. Now, talking about the tax neutrality, this is very important because without this tax neutrality, Islamic banking products would be more costly versus conventional banking products. And so way back in 2020, the Department of Finance and the Bureau of Internal Revenue has issued a regulations which in essence provides that Islamic banking products should not be taxed more heavily nor more lightly than their Islamic than the conventional products. And it was followed through by a series of circulars issued by the BIR containing implementation on how they can make the tax implication of Islamic banking products tax neutral. For the information of everyone, the tax implications of Islamic banking products without tax neutrality will be higher because the way that they are structuring their products, it involves 2 or more transactions. And if each and every of those transactions will be subjected to tax, the tax implications would be higher. And if the tax neutrality is not established, no one will patronize Islamic banking products. So this is a very important milestones for the Philippines. In fact, in Malaysia, I think when they had their first Islamic bank in 1983, there was no tax neutrality yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ambassador. So a few years after, they were able to pass a law that provided tax neutrality. And they were saying from the time that they were able to achieve the tax neutrality state in Malaysia, they've seen the growth of Islamic banking and finance in Malaysia faster. So in our case, we have learned from the experience of Malaysia when we were drafting the bill that was filed by then Congresswoman Siti Hataman. It already contains the provisions on tax neutrality. That's why the Philippine government was able to implement the law quickly. The law was enacted in 2019. In 2020, the Department of Finance and the BIR has already implemented the tax neutrality provision in the Islamic banking law. Now, moving on to the prudential regulatory requirements, and the BSP was also quick in issuing the reportorial requirements for Islamic banking and finance transactions. We're also some of the 2 baseline regulations that we have issued is the licensing framework, which is very important because that circular contains the requirements of the Bangko Sentral for establishing a full-fledged Islamic bank or an Islamic banking windows. We have also issued circular on the capital requirement for Islamic banking windows. We have, in the case of Insurance Commission, they were also issuing guidelines on takaful. And right now, there are 2 takaful operators in the Philippines. The Insurance Commission has issued licenses to PruLife and Itika. Itika is actually the insurance arm of the Maybank. Now, moving on to the, okay. I've mentioned about the tax treatment of, so let's move on to the modes of entry. And this is very important to foreign banks. Under the law, there are actually 3 modes of entry. A foreign bank can acquire up to 100% of a universal bank. This has happened from way back, a few years back, when we have liberalized the ownership of universal banks in the Philippines. So a foreign bank can own up to 100% of any of the domestic universal banks, of course, subject to their meeting the requirements for this acquisition. They can also invest in up to 100% of a new bank, meaning they can establish a new domestic corporation in the Philippines. And this is the route taken, for example, by Maybank, because Maybank has established its own subsidiary in the Philippines. Maybank Philippines is a locally incorporated corporation. The third mode is just by establishing a foreign bank, and this has been the mode of many foreign banks operating in the Philippines. Before the liberalization, the number of foreign banks operating in the Philippines was limited up to 10. But after the liberalization, we have seen a surge of additional foreign banks operating in the Philippines. As you can see, we have many foreign banks coming from, let's say, Japan, and a number of other jurisdictions as a result of the liberalization of entry of foreign banks. Now, the establishment of the Sharia Supervisory Board, which is actually mandated under the organic law, is also jointly created by the four agencies, namely the Bangsamoro government, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, and Department of Finance. This is very important because as we achieve critical mass of Islamic banking players in the Philippines, there might be issues on Sharia compliance matters. And of course, we all know that the government agencies like the BSP has no expertise in terms of Sharia compliance issues. And the creation of the Sharia Supervisory Board is actually tasked. This board is tasked to issue opinions on Sharia compliance matters. And the four government agencies that I have mentioned are actually represented in the board with 5 representations also from the private sector. So no less than the chairman of the Sharia Council of Bank Negara, Malaysia, is also sitting as vice chairperson of the Sharia board. We also have one Sharia scholar from Malaysia, Professor Rusni, who's also a member of the Sharia Supervisory Board. And this board has been operating since December 2023. This is a very important support as we see more players in the Philippine financial system. Of course, this is closely linked also to our complaints. We have a complaints department in the BSP in case there are complaints. But when it comes to settling Sharia matters, Sharia issue, then we will have the Sharia Supervisory Board providing support to the Bangko Sentral, not only the Bangko Sentral, but even the other agencies as well. For example, if Insurance Commission would have issues on Sharia compliance, they can tap on the Sharia Supervisory Board. Now, moving on to the you can see that because of this many initiatives and the regulatory framework that have been established, we have seen new players in the system. The governor has mentioned in his keynote address that we have 2 Islamic banking windows. In fact, Maybank is actually planning to expanding the Islamic banking window operations to other cities in Mindanao. And Cardbank is also seeing expanding the operations by opening additional branch-like units. So we hope to see more players in the system. That's the aim because that's how you can achieve better economies of scale. And of course, competition can lead to better products that the Filipino people can enjoy. Now, in terms of the strategic initiatives, all of these efforts needs to be supported by capacity building initiatives. And we have, for this purpose, we have been coordinating with institutions like Islamic Banking and Finance Institute Malaysia and Islamic Financial Services Board, of which the BSP is an associate member. Internally, we have also developed our own internal course on Islamic banking. So within FSS, we have this we have launched also a basic e-course on Islamic banking and finance, and to date we have completed 9 offerings, and the purpose really is to educate the BSP, particularly the BSP examiners on Islamic banking and finance. Aside from that, to date we have 138 graduates of the Asset Qualification in Islamic Finance, which is a certification course being offered by the Islamic Banking and Finance Institute, Malaysia. I think around 50 is coming from the BSP. the other regulatory agencies have their own AKIF as well. So it's not just BSP, it's across the different agencies. Even actually the Bangsamoro government have been active in taking this certification course of the Islamic Banking and Finance Institute Malaysia. And we hope to see more training on Islamic banking and finance, because this is the way to move these initiatives forward. Now, in terms of highlights, now you can see the seriousness of the Philippine government in promoting Islamic banking and finance. The BSP is also serious, no? In fact, whenever we elevate circulars to implement the Islamic banking law, the Monetary Board has been very supportive in the approval of those circulars. That's why we have seen also this very good developments in terms of attracting more investors. That has even led to the issuance of Islamic bonds by the Philippine government. Right now, we're working on the Sharia-compliant facilities, and that's within the turf of DG Francis Tequila. We're working together on the Sharia-compliant facilities of the central bank that can support the growth of these Islamic banking players in the system. Now, let me touch on the stock market, and this has been there for since 2013. The Philippine Stock Exchange has actually been publishing in its website a list of Sharia-compliant facilities, and there are about 53 equities which are declared by the PSC as Sharia-compliant. They're using ideal ratings as a way of identifying these Sharia-compliant facilities. 53 is low, but we hope to expand that. And with of course, collaboration with the Securities and Exchange Commission, they're actually working on the issuance of guidelines on the Sukuk issuance by the corporate. Hopefully, once that is in place, we hope to see more corporations in the Philippines issuing Sukuk, and that can actually develop further the capital market in the Philippines. Now, to present to you the result of the recent international roadshow that we held in Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur, may I turn you over again to Mr. Farouk Raza for those information. Again, thank you very much.